Brandeis not only cultivates a scientist, but it cultivates, a person that's multifaceted. I know sometimes people tend to think that, researchers are just all in the science, but really, like, there's so much more to us as people, and you can kind of sort of cultivate that here at Brandeis.
The first thing about Brandeis that attract me is the location of Brandeis. So it is at the greater Boston area, and it has a lot of resources and connections with other research facilities. And that makes Brandeis a really amazing place to work at.
The Boston area is one of the richest areas in terms of industrial activity in chemistry, particularly thinking of pharmaceutical companies, technology companies. So within Waltham itself, where Brandeis is located, there are something like 100 biotech companies in the area.
Compared to where I went for undergrad, which was a rather large community, especially their chemistry department. Here, I am not only well acquainted with chemistry professors, but also graduate students, both inside the chemistry department and in other STEM departments here.
One thing that makes Brandeis a special and unique place to do your PhD is the quality of research coming from such a small university.
I was really impressed how willing the students are to help each other, train each other, take the measurements for each other, and just learn the chemicals. And I really love this kind of collaborative and collegial environment.
We're really doing world-class research and publishing in a lot of top journals, but still maintaining that very small school feel. We are able to both collaborate and just interact with professors and other graduate students from all sorts of different labs.
The whole university was really founded on inclusiveness. And so, if you go back to when the university started in 1948, that there were so many people that were fantastic scientists who would not necessarily get jobs at most institutions. A lot of the mainstream places didn't necessarily hire people from certain backgrounds, and Brandeis was able to really get a fantastic start right off the bat by hiring the best scientists, from a population of people who didn't necessarily have all of the opportunities they should have had.
As an international student, when I first came here, to be honest, I was a little bit overwhelmed. I don't know everything, and I don't know what to do in the university. And the professors and the lab mates, they treated me like we were old friends for a long time. And thanks to them, it didn't take me too long time to fit in. So in a word, I really love Brandeis even more than before because we are a community of love and kindness.
Everyone is incredibly friendly and willing to help you out. I have on numerous occasions just knocked on the door of professors from other labs and asked a question on something that I had no knowledge of, but that they were able to help me with very, very quickly. It really is a friendly, very low-key vibe. We're not out here trying to compete with anyone. We're just trying to all help each other get through graduate school as a group.
My students are working on this photo switching DNA origami project. And then what she does is to play with this short sequence of the DNA nucleotides and attach the chemical switches there, and then collaborate with the physics department so that we can see how the DNAs really bind to each other and form this really nice macro structures.
So many labs are very interdisciplinary. So you're not just learning one thing, you're learning multiple things, and that's really great when you want to get out and find a job or advance the world at large. And I think it's really cool that even though most of my work is independent, I can go across the hall or go to another building and get, if I need help with something, or if I have a question, or if I need a chemical, I have many people that I can reach out to.
I think it's important to have that kind of support network when going through your PhD. It's a great way to support each other along the way, as well as to not only learn from, but teach each other.
The Brandeis PhD program has strengths not only in traditional areas like organic chemistry and physical chemistry, but also in interdisciplinary areas like chemical biology, materials, energy research. One of the reasons why we're particularly strong in these interdisciplinary areas is because of the really strong environments that we have for collaboration. So, for instance, in chemical biology, it really helps that we have really tight connections here with the biochemistry and biology departments, which is very good for collaborations on campus. And shared seminar programs, journal clubs. And on the other hand, it really helps for chemical biology that it can sort of stand on the pillar of strength in traditional areas like organic chemistry.
There's no competition, no one's trying to get ahead of the other person. It's a very open and welcoming space. And that was something that I really valued coming to Brandeis, especially as a black woman, you know, just having an environment where I felt welcome.
When you think of school, you think of theoretical, conceptual, you know, on paper. What I like about research is that it's actually hands-on. And I really enjoy that because that's where I really learn, and I feel like I am making a difference and learning in the scientific community. It's really fascinating and it's really exciting, and it gives me sense of purpose to come out here and run these experiments and actually see in real time what I would read in school, you know, what is happening right in front of me, and I love that.
In our group, we are working on the photoswitch molecules. We can use the light to trigger the configuration change of the molecules, and we can store the energy inside of the molecules and use the light to release it to trigger the process. And this is really cool because I think we are making a great contribution in the area of solar energy storage.
In my lab, we do a lot of biomaterial synthesis. And so we take these small molecules or small peptides that are compatible with your body, and we modify them to create them into drugs to fight cancer or to use them as molecules for tissue engineering. And we modify them in such a way that they can sort of self-assemble or stack on each other. And they actually form a net in water. And they form this net so well that it actually traps water inside and creates a gel. And we can simulate this same reaction on cancer cells, effectively creating this net or gel over the cancer cell and starving it to the point where it stops growing.
My PI, he's very, very willing to let me kind of explore on my own and choose my own methodologies and ask the questions that I think should be asked in the field.
You know, we're really lucky at Brandeis. Brandeis really has amazing NMR facilities. So in addition to multiple 400s, 500 and 600 NMR, we also have lucky enough to have really the best NMR in the whole Boston area with the 800 megahertz instrument, which has completely brand new cryoprobe. It's like the most sensitive cryoprobe you can get pretty much. And this instrument takes really beautiful spectra. You know, my students have gotten such incredible information about their molecules from this spectrometer.
We do a lot of synthesis, but we really focus on the stimuli responsive materials that are sensitive to light and change their structure. And then we focus on their energy application. So we did have this amazing collaboration with Klaus's lab. So Klaus is a world expert in the solid state NMR, which is also a great addition to our 800 megahertz NMR and other great facilities. So he has his own solid state NMR, which can really elucidate the structural information about the materials that are insoluble in common organic solvents. So without the collaboration, I wouldn't have discovered the way the molecules switch in the solid state at that high quantitative level.
Hao Shu is one of the really cutting-edge organic chemists. In the field in general, there's a lot of focus on the use of iron to do things that these more expensive metals will do, like palladium and platinum. And he's finding things iron can do that these other metals absolutely cannot do. So he's bringing real chemical innovation from the use of actually this really cheap and convenient metal. Another example is Qi Ting is discovering novel chemistry having to do with natural products. Taking natural product molecules like peptides, for instance, and finding selective chemical reactions to functionalize their side chains, but also looking at the way that these molecules are produced biologically. So there's a number of very novel natural products that are derived from peptides that have been then modified by other enzymes.
I can use a lot of different skills and techniques in order to study the pattern formation. So I use a chemical system, but in addition, I'm able to use some computational methods, do some sort of programming on my own to model these sorts of patterns.
I had the chance to collaborate with another group in the physics department, the Ben Rogers lab, and it was interesting because we got to combine our separate expertises in our own fields. So for us, it was photo switches, and for them, it was colloidal particles. And we had the goal of synthesizing these light-responsive microparticles for thermal energy storage. I thought it was an interesting experience, and it taught me that to be a successful scientist, you need to consider, collaborating with other groups out there, because you can take research and progress even further.
A major opportunity that I was a part of is to synthesize multiple substrates and inhibitors for the Oprian group in the biochemistry department here at Brandeis. The inhibitor that I synthesized has been used to gain mechanistic insights on how these synthases are able to produce a wide range of products, all starting from the same substrates.
I really enjoy joining the Science Communications Lab at Brandeis. It's not like a real lab, it's more like a helping group. Whenever I have to give a presentation, a seminar talk, or even an oral exam, I can reserve at the Science Communications Lab, and I can talk to one of the members to discuss how to make my presentation more attractive. This is not like a unidirectional coaching, it's more like we brainstorm together and we discuss to make a progress. And I think this helped me a lot in the academic presentation. And I plan to join this communication lab and be a member of it next year, just to give a contribution in return.
Just finding a space where you can just talk freely with people who are not just in the sciences but across other fields. It's really great that you can sort of cultivate a community here. We have so many different organizations here that fit a lot of different needs, whether it's a Little Black Graduate Student Association for unrepresented minorities, or we have a great LGBTQ community here, or Diverse Brandeis Scholars, which we do a lot of different networking opportunities for underrepresented minorities, different social spaces for people of color to feel comfortable. And I think that's something that I really like, that Brandeis sort of cultivates a space for everyone to just be themselves, both in the sciences and outside of that.
Really what makes the PhD so worth it is that I'm making something, I'm making a difference in the scientific community, making progress and learning and putting that to good use. And also, feeling like a scientist along the way, being a scientist along the way.